There we are. We're live. It would be cool if it gave you a countdown. It just has like a spinning wheel, and then it stops and says you're live at a certain point.
That would be cool. Hello, Internet.
Howdy
It's us
out
again.
there.
Hello. Welcome. We haven't even done the official intro, so this is the
This
sneak
is bonus.
peek. This is the bonus free. This ain't gonna be on the podcast, friends. All right, this is the good stuff right here. Welcome to it.
Welcome to it. Once again, I did not shower prior to the recording. I'm regretting it.
I wouldn't say I'm regretting it. I'm just gonna get to it later.
Yeah. I'll be
Yeah,
there.
you got a hair situation?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, me too. That's why I got a hat on every time we do this.
Uh-huh.
I don't do a lot of primping and prepping before our 9:30 recording my time, 7:30 your time.
No, nor do I. But we're still gonna deliver a quality cast. VC, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Well, you got your finger up in the air like you're not ready.
Oh, sorry. I was pointing because of the readiness.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought you were telling me to hold up.
No,
horses.
I'll do one of these.
That's better.
For a hold up.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was getting me energized. It was having the opposite effect. You see, we got to work on your hand signals. That's good. That's good.
It's a slow calming. This is big, and it can get energy up. We'll go with a slow.
I like that.
Yeah, okay. Noted. All right. So
we've established a language.
Yeah. It's primitive, but effective. Not unlike our regular communication.
I don't know about the effective part either.
It's just primitive. Fair point.
Yes. Now I just sound like Lucy Ender.
Luthen.
Luthen.
Yeah. It sounds like he should be like a stringed instrument from Folktale.
I like that.
You played your Luthen today?
Yeah, well, he should be a luthier.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we don't know that he's not yet. You know, he deals in all sorts of antiquities, so could be.
Many different lives, perhaps.
Ooh, boy. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, let's get into it, BC.
Ooh, are you ready for a patented Cargo Bay intro?
I'm ready.
Hello there, and welcome to the Cargo Bay, a Star Wars conversation podcast being transmitted to you from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I am Brady C, here with my co-host, just back from his yearly checkup with Dr. Quadpaw.
It's me, Adam B. I'm in terrible condition. How are you, BC?
Well, I haven't gone in to see Quadpaw in a while, so I'm awaiting those test results. But I'm glad you went in. It's important to make those appointments.
I mean, it doesn't really inspire confidence when the doc's name has paw instead of hand in the name. You know,
it makes you wonder how nimble
and precise
the paws are.
Yeah.
What quality are we getting here? If he's a general practitioner, probably not as bad. But if you're going in for some spinal surgery, you might want someone else.
Yeah. Well, I went in just for a regular old leg checkup. he was just looking at my legs and was fascinated by them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Took a sweet time. Yeah, he says they're not long for this world. Although they are long in this world, if you know.
There
I got them long legs.
You got them long, lanky legs, baby.
Well, we should. Spoiler warning. This is episodes 4 through 6 of Andor. So now's your chance. Goodbye.
Yeah, if you haven't watched them, I could not really recommend a lot of Star Wars more highly than these 3 episodes. So go check out Aldani, the Axe Forgets, and the Eye if you get a chance.
Yeah, good eps. Good eps, BC.
Good eps, indeed.
Should we? So how are we gonna do this again, BC? You've got the summary.
All right, here's the deal, folks. You're getting the meat and potatoes of the production meeting that happened for about 30 seconds before we started recording. I think what we're going to do, because this is how I've got my notes formatted, is we'll do a little rundown of episodes 4 and 5, aka Aldani and the Axe Forgets. And I've got that broken down into kind of separate groups, mainly following Cassian and the Rebels, because that's where the main thrust of the story is. Then we'll do a little Luthen and Mon Mothma talk, and ISB, Deidre, Karn, Imperial bad guy talk. There's less of that, but those are the three main kind of storylines or character groups that are being followed in the first 2 episodes, and then we'll do the eye just straight through, and then I figure we'll do kind of like our breakdown that we did for episodes 1 through 3. Maybe we can do favorite characters, favorite moments, favorite ships or sets or props, that kind of stuff. So
Sounds good.
we got a lot to get through, so I'm just gonna go through it.
Let's jump in
thoroughly,
there.
but as quick as I can. So we pick up where we essentially left off with episode 3 with Cassian and Luthen, not Luthien, always important, Luthen, escaping from Ferrix, where Luthen is going to convince Cassian with an offer of 200,000 big ones, 50K in the form of a down payment as a sky blue kyber crystal to join the fight against the Empire.
I was wishing, because they have done some, or at least in the first 3 episodes, they had 1 or 2 times where they have put graphics on screen, you know? And I like when they give us a little more context, like Coruscant comes up and it's like, capital of the galaxy. Great.
Yeah.
What I wanted to see here was like a little, like, eBay page pop up with different items for 50,000 credits, so I could get, like, how much are we talking here? Are you going to retire, or you got 2 years off? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is it a couple good months, or are like you set? You know, what's the USD exchange rate on an Imperial credit?
I'm guessing they're kind of keeping it a 1-to-1 thing here.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
It seems like that's what they're trying to do. Like vaguely, like, oh, this is a car around his neck.
This is one
fancy
US
car.
dollar. Yeah.
And he's excited about that 200,000 because he's going to be set for a long while.
Seems like it's a pretty tight to the current USD.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep assuming that.
Yeah, it's not like if he was like, "Here's 20,000 credits." It's like, that's only $20. I'm not gonna do this. That's insane. You're gonna have to pay me 600 billion to get me even close. So I feel like we're at a 1-to-1 basically in US dollars. He convinces him essentially. He says, "Wouldn't you rather give it all at once for something real than carve off useless pieces until there's nothing left?" And Andor's like, hell yeah, baby. Turns out he's going to be going into a big stakes, big danger heist to steal the quarterly payroll for an entire Imperial sector. Big stakes, big danger.
Love it.
We've turned him into kind of a pirate character when he's in this rebel form, which I like a lot. They land on Aldani, which we do get a little title of where we are when we land on Aldani, I believe, where the mission, which we learn has been in the work for 5 months, will take place. Luthen is going to convince Vel, the leader of the group of this rebel mission, to allow Cassian, now going by the name of Clem, to join the team.
Also like it. Clem.
Yeah. Amazing choice by Cassian.
His father's name, right?
So Clem. I'm Clem. Could have been Pete, Ted, Dave, Clem.
But
Clem was good.
His adoptive father is Clem, so it's also not that undercover. It's like maybe not good to use your father's name, but I don't know. Anyway,
it's fine.
There's a lot of Clems out there. Yeah.
A lot of Clems, a lot of clams. So he's joining the team as a quote unquote critical redundancy. Vel and Clem make the long walk to the rebel camp where he is going to join the group as he learns that they're going to be taking on an Imperial garrison, which he's not too excited about. As they're making this walk, 2 Imperial TIE fighters rip through the sky above in what is genuinely a menacing moment from TIE fighters in the sky.
Beautiful. This is how Star Wars should have been used for a long time now.
Yeah, well, there's more TIE fighter stuff that I absolutely love coming up here. So yeah, I mean, just fantastic. Again, we're going to be praising this largely. So Vel tells Cassian as they're sort of walking through that this land that they were on was once inhabited by like 40,000 Aldanis, but the Empire has driven them south to Imperial factories, new towns, and housing. Fantastic. Turns out Aldani is a perfect hub for distribution for taking over the galaxy, which
Hey.
they might be interested in doing. Turns out. Uh, as they make their way back, we are introduced to Nimic, caught sleeping on the job by noted good guy Skeen. They see Vel approaching with Cassian. Vel gathers a troop consisting of Cinta, Skeen, Terramin, and Nimic to introduce them to Clem. It's a bit of a frosty welcome for our hero Cassian / Clem Andor. They're not pleased that he's being brought in so late in the game.
Well played, by our boy Andor here. I was just thinking about this scene and how I could never in my life pull this off, and I'm like 6'3", right? So like, but the idea of like I'm gonna play the scene where I walk into this camp and I'm like scary looking enough that like it puts tension in the air. It's like I could never do that.
Immediately hated, but two, look dangerous enough to be like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just rolls in. Great Diego Luna stuff throughout.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff from him. So he rolls into the camp. They're all like, "What? You can't mess with our team chemistry." We're gonna learn that they probably needed a little messing with after all. And then we get introduced to Lieutenant Gorn, who is the Imperial Inside Man as part of this rebel heist, who is also displeased with the late arrival of Cassian.
I love this this actor. I don't know him from anything else.
I think
him in this.
Again, we can't praise enough how good the casting is in all of this. Small roles, big roles. I mean, it just reinforced. I mean, there's so many good parts,
and it's nice. Look, I like when the comedians get in on the Star Wars, but it's nice to have a show that so far it hasn't been like, oh look, there's that guy and there's that guy, and oh, the voice in that stormtrooper helmet is that guy. Okay. It's like,
no, we just went out and cast the best actors that we could find.
It's an interesting technique.
It's almost shocking that it hasn't been employed more.
Yeah.
But you know, what do we know? Turns out if you just go hire the best trained British stage actors for Star Wars, they can usually crush stuff out of the park. We learn that this Imperial garrison is located on a dammed up sacred river, which is where the heist is going to be taking place. Cassian has some hesitation about the getaway plan, noting that it's a suicide run. We also learned that the cover for the escape is a naturally occurring phenomenon on Aldani that occurs every 3 years called the Eye. At the temple that once sat on the mighty rivers, these Aldanis gather at this sacred spot, and it looks like 50 meteor showers all at once. They've calculated their escape trajectory before the eye closes as a means of getting away. Cassian takes a little snooze, wakes up from his hammock, and finds noted good guy Skeen searching through his belongings. Vel asked him to have a look. They bond over Skeen's tattoos, and we learn of a little bit of noted good guy Skeen's past, and we find out that revenge is his primary motivation. He notes that Nimic's a true believer, and Cinta is stone cold and fearless. Nimic is going to share some delicious Dre milk with Cassian, as he shares an old piece of tech, which is an astral chart that is not Imperial tech.
Love it.
But nice. Say this is one of your things for sure, right?
Yeah. It's just great.
Yeah,
it's great to also see to already be seeing commentary and then be like just a little drop of, hey, the corporations control all of your personal devices.
Yeah,
because no mainstream media does that because it's too late for all of us. You know, no, like nobody cares except for nerds that like, you know.
We can only put it in fiction stories because it no longer rings true in humanity.
But yeah, it reminds me of my friends using Linux out there. You know, like
shout out Linux users. Yeah. Nimic notes that once you've mastered this particular piece of tech, you're free. He says, we've grown reliant on Imperial tech and we've made ourselves vulnerable. There's a growing list of things we've known and forgotten. Things like freedom. Nemec is unsurprisingly writing a manifesto.
Yeah, he's the mouthpiece of
Yeah,
he's shouting our themes out a little loud and clear here for
yeah.
us in the back.
And at this point in the story, we are definitely feeling like he is gonna make it to a nice long life. Uh, so
Yeah, it's
they
pretty clear from the beginning. You better worry about this guy. I mean, he is
yeah,
introduced with a gun to the back of his head, so for falling
sleep,
asleep.
sleeping on the job. Yeah, it's in the stars, perhaps, which he has charted accurately. We find out that turns out our group of rebels doesn't really know how to get their escape vehicle off of the runway, which is concerning to Cassian, as he's already noted that it is a suicide run. So he's pretty shocked to learn this information. And he lets them know, "Hey, I'm going to be doing the piloting on this mission. You can tell them it was your idea because you can't get the thing off the ground." The group prepares to run drills for the heist. They are marching as if they are headed for the garrison. A lot of nice model work by the group here
Uh-huh.
in the preparation phase for the heist. Big fan of this. Big fan of the model work and the training that they've got going on.
Yeah, Nemec's got that sweet stick model.
Amazing stick model by Nemec.
Yeah,
One, great manifesto writer. Two, underrated as a model. We are going to go to the garrison where we see Lieutenant Gorn taking a view from the top of the dam and noting that they are possibly going to be tearing down this particular dam to move an airbase there. So we've got some potential moves happening on Aldani. The rebels head out of their base camp, making their way to the dam. Cassian asks Vel about Gorn's involvement. Turns out he fell in love with a local woman, lost promotion, lost the woman, and then lost his taste for the Empire. She says everyone has their own rebellion, and boy, oh boy, what a line that is. The men posted at the garrison make it clear to Gorn that they want to see the eye. And he's like, listen here. I could probably make
Perfect.
that happen.
Yeah.
Noted good guy Skeen finds Cassian's Kyber crystal and confronts him about why is he here. Cassian's like, I'm being paid. He lets them know that I don't want to be looking over my shoulder during this mission. He feels the tension. He says the day before is always hard as they prepare to embark upon this journey. As they make their way to the dam, they signal Gorn when they are at the sort of the top of the dam area. They have arrived. Skeen, noted good guy, opens up in a beautiful, touching moment about his brother who was killed by the Empire. He was
Huh.
a farmer. Definitely real brother who was killed by the Empire. Sad, tragic story for our hero Skeen. We get a little sense of why he's in the fight, and then we are prepared to do the job. That's the end of the first two episodes for our friends there. I want to jump over to Luthen and Mon Mothma, just throwing fire in these two episodes.
The best Coruscant content we've ever gotten, BC.
Mwah! So good. So good. After dropping Cassian off, Luthen, in one of the greatest moments in the history of Star Wars,
Yeah.
transforms from Rebel Cell leader to antiquity shop owner with a wave of a hand and the placing of a wig and some rings. 10 out of 10.
Yep.
Amazing, brilliant, mind-blowing Star Wars moment.
I
Do we
love
want to
it.
stop everything we're doing and just talk about this for the rest of the time?
Yeah, well, it's also coming out of this scene where he, convinces Andor and goes out and talks to Vel. Okay, because Val's in Solo. This is Vel.
Val is in Solo, Vel is in this. Val,
Okay.
Val.
Anyway, the interior of his ship is super cool. Looks great. Got his little robot eye. And then, yeah, we immediately get more cool things about the ship, which is little secret door opening and changing chamber. Whew. That thing collapses down.
Yeah. He's got a towel steamer in his ship.
Yeah.
What an amazing thing to
When you're
have.
getting into a luxurious character, VC, nothing helps more than a little steam towel.
It's I don't know what it is about a steam towel, but it reeks of luxury.
I hope it doesn't reek too bad.
It reeks of mildew and luxury. Yeah, it's awesome. We see him do this full transformation into his cup, actually, which is a brilliant moment, brilliantly performed moment.
Yeah, that hand wave is just perfect. Where it's like It's
The
just the
hand
right
wave,
amount of like. Clearly, he's done this a million times.
the
He's
hand wave, the
familiar.
smile, like the way that he knows how to get into his I'm the antiquities guy now is like it's brilliant. It's a brilliant moment to have in this, and I cannot praise the performance enough. When I saw it, I was like, "What? What? It's happening!"
Yeah, I was really excited. And then we
Really,
also have
really
an
great.
excuse for why his voice is more rough.
Yeah, it's a real Christian Bale Batman kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm,
Um,
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I'm not wearing hockey pads. Well, the Batman crossover episode, I believe, is the next one. So look forward
Could
to that.
happen, yeah.
Yeah. So Mon Mothma arrives at Luthen's sort of antiquities collection house in a sick ass blue transport
Yeah.
in the guise of searching for her husband's birthday present. What a knob. We'll get to him in a second. Luthen's assistant Clea shows the driver, Mon Mothma's driver, around as a divergence for Luthen and Mon Mothma to sneak in the back and talk a little rebellion. It is getting dangerous for Mon Mothma to move money around. There's a new spy in the Senate every day. She says she's found someone she thinks can help.
Leia,
To,
right?
uh,
I feel like that was a
mayhaps,
pretty, pretty like,
maybe
Leia?
Leia. And I want it to
Who
be
I hope
Bail
doesn't.
Organa again. I want it
Oh,
to
yeah.
be. I want it to be Jimmy Smits and everything.
Yeah, let's get him
Even if
back
we
in
already
here.
know he's so a sympathizer, like just keep bringing Jimmy Smits back for every
Well,
single
this is
Star
where
Wars thing.
this is a Star Wars he was made for. Like
This
he's got to
is the
be
Star Wars he was made
kicking
for.
himself for missing out because it's like this is where you should shine. You should
Yeah,
get your cool scenes being, high tension thriller moments in
he
the
would be
Senate.
so good in this.
Yeah, it'd be dumb.
He was great in Kenobi, but yeah, he would be. I think his talents would be better employed in this and the general tone and of what this story is. But we didn't get to write it, so that's the way it is.
We
Um,
offered.
yes, we tried. We are then going to go to Mon Mothma's house, which is one of my favorite sets I've seen.
That
Like the
says
height, it's beautiful. The design is like top tier interior design. Absolutely love it. But we learn that the beautiful facade is hiding a rotten marriage with her husband Perrin. Talk about a knob. Invited some friends over for a dinner party.
he invited
Uh,
he invited Mitch McConnell over.
yeah, he invited Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, and Ron DeSantis are coming over for dinner. And Mon Mothma's like,
What a
"You just
crew.
invited all of the people who hate me to the dinner table. Thanks." He's like, "Whatever, I'm petty." And then we get one of the craziest lines in the history of Star Wars, where at the end of the scene, he just says, "Must everything be boring and sad?" And I'm like, what show are we watching at this point? I am so like out of my mind excited.
Yeah, this is what
Uh,
I had dreamed of when Disney bought Star Wars. So I was like, someday gonna do a political thriller in Star Wars. And then changed my mind very quickly that would ever happen. This is what I wanted. I wanted a well-made thing focusing on the politics of Star Wars, not in a boring, confusing way, in an interpersonal drama kind of way. Here it is.
understandable way, like a way that makes sense as storytelling, which
Yeah.
has not always been the case. And with will to be continued. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
put a pin. That's a long conversation for me. Mon Mothma then has the worst breakfast of all time with her husband Perrin and daughter Leda, given some real teen mother, teen daughter, and mom vibes. If you have a sister, you may have been there at some point in this mother-daughter relationship where it's just like things are icy between my sister and my mom, and this is probably the height of that in a really
I hope.
hurtful and painful family breakfast. Again, just an insight into the Mothma situation there. And then, sort of at the end of that 2-episode run, we've got Luthen checking the comms, for any word from the rebels. Clea notes that she doesn't like seeing him nervous as they are getting ready for the big day. He asks her if she's got her go bag ready. She notes it'll all be over this time tomorrow, or it will just be starting. ... We will go to the ... That's what I've got in my notes anyway. Ellipses.
PC, is this it? We don't get the scene of them in the car together, Mon Mothma and her husband in episode that happened somewhere in episode 2, right?
Yeah, 5. Yes, I
I
left it. I
just
left it out of here. It just was. It's a beautiful moment, but it's just like even more tension.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that's like one of the prettiest special effects shots I've seen, like in Star Wars in the past. I don't know, forever. It just looks really, really good flying
It
around.
looks amazing. I love the look of that blue cruiser.
Yeah, it's
I'm
from
like,
episode 2. It's like
I'm
an
like,
episode
put wheels
2
on
era.
that thing. I want to drive it around. It looks amazing.
I just want it to be a boat. All this.
Oh yeah, boat would be good too. The paint finish on it though is immaculate.
Yeah. Sorry to derail. I just
no.
It's pretty. It's pretty.
It's gorgeous. Like whenever I first saw it, I was like, ooh, that looks good on the screen. There's a lot of things that look good on the screen, including the Imperial Security Bureau, the ISB, which we were introduced to for the first time. Very, very monochromatic Imperial vibes. This is like the NSA, FBI, CIA of the Empire.
And they're using a real world building, which I love. I love them using all this weird architecture. Usually, like brutalist hallways. But whatever. I don't know what style of architecture this is, but it's nice. You can tell it's real.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's from Earth. And guess what? It doesn't ruin Star Wars. Instead, it's like, oh, wow, this has impact.
It looks amazing. It looks absolutely incredible. We learn. Let me go back and get the character's name. I don't want to. We've got Major Partagaz, played by Anton Lesser, as sort of the leader of the ISB, who lets them know that security is an illusion. We are healthcare providers. Great line.
Yeah.
They bring up the Ferrix incident, where the Starpath unit comes up, which brings the attention to our new one of our new antagonists is Dedra, who is very interested in her missing Starpath unit. Another one of the agents, Blevin, we see him dressing down Karn and our security team from the first 3 episodes. Good to see those guys again, all together.
Yeah.
Always a classic. As we learn that the Morlana system is now under permanent Imperial authority. Good job, Karn. Way to go. Dedra is on the hunt for her Starpath unit, finds out that it was on Ferrix. Blevins refuses to turn over the files because that's under his jurisdiction. Real bureaucratic headbutting going on here between these two, which is a lot of fun. And now to one of my favorite things is Karn getting off at the airport, taking the long walk home through truly brutalist architecture that has like this really long, like vanishing point sort of style to it, which looks brilliant. It's just like him walking to the Charlie Brown music, the sad Charlie Brown music home. He arrives home and gets slapped in the face by his mother. Amazing.
Yeah. And they have that person in the background I love too, that she's slaps him and then hugs him and is like,
what are you doing? Brilliant Star Wars stuff. Yes, we've got more of this jurisdiction about the Starpath unit. She also knows that she's seeing some coordinated activity across multiple sectors, but her request for Ferrix information is shot down. We open on a pensive Karn out the window, crying, eating some Cocoa Puffs, served by his mother. We get some fun mother-son scene. Just real vibes in this one. Just real disappointed in you vibes. He's got no prospects, and she is not making nice about it. But she's going to reach out to Uncle Harlow. Good old Unky Harlow. To see if she can call in a family favor. Again, the vibes of this are so
very
good. The Cocoa Puffs, I can't get enough.
The set is beautiful again.
Yep,
a great Star Wars set.
beautiful Star Wars stuff. We've got, again, Daedra is onto something, or she continues her search. It's too random to be random. They note these red cells popping up. And then we're going to get more Karn with Serial again. Uncle Harlow has felt that that police work was never his chosen path, according to his mother. And he wants to think about Karn's path, this all coming via his mother. So that's sort of the end of those three journeys in the first two episodes. Now we'll go into the exciting conclusion that is the Eye. Which we got a lot going on here. So we've got Cassian and aka Clem and Nimic. Nimic was unable to sleep the night before. He ended up writing about Cassian, well, not Cassian directly, but the role of mercenaries in the galactic struggle for freedom. A real page turner in the manifesto. We are then introduced to Imperial Honcho Jayhold from the garrison, talking some real smack about the native population and how the Empire was able to essentially control them and remove them from the. Great stuff.
Yep.
Good look
very
for the
proud
Empire.
of himself. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely proud of that. And then the engineer who has arrived that they are trying to impress asks, will the Donnies let us build our new facility in peace? To which Lieutenant Gorn essentially responds, I don't think they have much of a choice. Which, of course, they don't, because the Empire, noted bad guys. Terramin, with his team of Nimic, Skeen, and Clem, make contact with Vel and Cinta, who are on a separate team. They head out. We learn that Terramin was once a stormtrooper, and that stormtrooper slaughtered Cinta's entire family, according to noted good guy Skeen. They are now in Imperial garb, dressed to escort the Donnies to the sacred temple for viewing the Eye. Our Imperial Jayhold. This is another wild scene that I'm glad exists. We've got Jayhold getting dressed for this ceremony. The sash no longer fits around his tum-tum. Might have put on a few pounds on Eldani. But it's just another like little family scene where he is talking smack to his wife and complaining about his son who's always sick.
Yeah, doesn't want to wear his Imperial shawl.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, of course he doesn't. He's a kid. He's always sick. But I mean, just a little moment that doesn't need to exist that does.
You're telling me you wouldn't have wanted to wear that cape when you were a kid?
I would have worn.
I saw that thing and I was like, I would have been in that Imperial shawl.
Give me the cape. And is there a ceremonial scepter that I can carry too?
Can I have a little dagger, please?
Can I have any other props you got? Any other ceremonial things? I'll do it. Yeah, he was not. The son was not about that as perhaps we would have been. Good little Imperial babies that we are. Bell and Cinta make their way to the top of the dam. They put a signal block on the comms. Then they rappel down the face of the dam.
Scuba diving. We got
they
weird
scuba
little
in,
scuba scene.
Little scuba suits. Scuba up into a very tactile, real world. This is again an actual thing that exists in the world that they're shooting on, which is amazing. On the ground, they get the go. Clem and company head back from the ceremony with the Donnies that they've been escorting. Follow Gorn as they make their way in towards the quarterly payroll, where they launch the heist. They take everyone hostage, including the wife and child of Jayhold, who I noted as Old Grumpy Fuss in here because I couldn't remember his name when I was writing this. So Old Imperial Grumpy Fuss. Cinta kills the Imperial engineer, and then they head to the payroll vault.
Great,
Imperial.
That's one of the good sounding blasters.
Yeah, I know you got some blaster.
Got some blaster notes, but Cinta's pistol sounds like an episode 1 pistol, and it
rings
sounds great.
Clear and true, and strikes deadly on the engineer there. And the Imperials start to kind of realize that something is going on with their comms. Must just be the Eye. The rebels make it to the vault and start to load the escape ship with a whole bunch of money. Nimic is firing up his navigator as they're preparing to escape. The Imperials then start to intercept the actual rebel communications. They head down to the vault. All of this, I want to note, is being intercut with the Donnies having one hell of a party as the Eye is really kicking in. Good times by the Donnies out there.
Let's say there's 1 or 2 too many cuts back to the Donnies.
Maybe there are a couple too many. That's why I noted. I was like, we're just going back to the Donnie's partying a lot, which is fine. Like, okay, cool. It's all this like ratcheting up of the tension though, which this episode is just like, you want
Yeah.
tension?
Yeah.
We'll give you tension. Speaking of tension, we get the Alkinzi Air Command being alerted as the TIE fighters are getting ready to engage in what is to me genuinely one of the most menacing scenes of like TIE fighter preparation. I don't need 1,000 of them flying in space. I need 3 of them, knowing that there's just a tiny little group of rebels down there. I'm like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
truly, truly terrifying that these things are being ready to come and attack where our rebels are.
The show
Fantastic stuff.
understands that scale and tension are not the same thing. It's
Yeah.
very nice.
It's amazing. The Imperials make it to the vault, and guess what? It's shootout time, where we get some wet noodle blasters blasting at each other. Terriman and Lieutenant Gorn, rest in peace. They are killed in the exchange of fire.
Loved both of them.
Fantastic.
And I thought maybe one of them would get away.
I did think one of the two would make it, but
not.
sadly, no. Nimic saves Cassian by killing an Imperial who had made it on the escape ship and was choking Cassian out. Skeen, noted good guy, exchanges fire as he gets to Vel as they prepare to join Nimic and Cassian on board. As they are all boarded and making their escape, Nimic is crushed by the about, I'd say, 30 million credits sitting in the back of the freight that they've got there.
Our revolutionary crushed literally by capital.
It's a beautiful moment in Star Wars, you know? You gotta love it. It's amazing. You have to love the balls that it takes to write that. He's crushed by money.
by a giant pile of money.
Giant pile of money kills our revolutionary. Shocking, but amazing stuff in Star Wars. So he's crushed by a pile of money. He's still alive, but he can't feel his legs. He was alive for the moment anyway. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Bell gives him some drugs that somehow it is conveyed to me in that moment. That'll keep him alive, but that's not necessarily the best way to keep him alive long term.
This is a good for now fix.
Like an adrenaline shot.
It's good enough for him to be able to navigate them through the eye as the TIE fighters using their Imperial tech get smashed by the eye. They make their way safely through onto the other side of the eye.
I gotta say, BC, in Star Wars, I never want to see someone pulling a flight stick back. I don't like it. I don't like when there's a massive ship and the idea is like, if I just pull a little harder, if I just pull on this stick, we're gonna go up. That was cracking me up.
Well, you're a stick boy, you know.
I am a stick boy.
I
know eventually you can't pull that stick any harder. That's not how it works.
It's as back as it goes.
But
tension's up. He's pulling hard. He is navigated safely through. And then we get a little disagreement between Vel and noted good guy Skeen as they disagree on whether to go to their contingency plan doctor and try to save Nimic's poor life. Skeen, again, noted good guy, advocates to divert to the doctor, which Cassian does. Once we arrive at Dr. Quadpaw's clinic, noted good guy Skeen, wait, what's this? Proposes to walk away with half of the credits from the heist with Cassian? Wait, I thought he was a good guy. I've been saying it this whole time.
BC, I still think he might be a good guy.
It turns out he might be, but he does not have a brother who tells Cassian, and Cassian responds by blasting him dead, turning down the offer of a 40 million walk away on the splitsies. So we get that nice little moment.
Shoots him real quick.
Shoots him real quick and real dead. Nice quick action from Cassian Andor. Always a man quick with the blaster. We learn that unfortunately Dr. Quadpaw and all could not save Nimic in his poor crushed spine. Cassian then says, I'm going to walk away from this, but I'm going to keep my cut. You can have the freighter and what is left. He gives Vel the Kyber crystal to return to Luthen. Before he walks away, she gives him Nimic's manifesto as one of his dying wishes, it would seem. And then at the end of the episode, we get the ISB going into all hands on deck mode. We get a hubbub in the Senate as Mon Mothma is making a speech, and then we hear Luthen the next day hearing word of a big rebel attack on Aldhani and going out back and having a nice long chuckle about it. End of episode 6.
A long chuckle and then undercut by a then grim realization.
Yeah, but a good long chuckle beforehand. Just a maniacal chuckle. These are 3 amazing episodes of television.
Yes.
Some of my favorite Star Wars that has been produced, dare I say,
yes.
ever.
Yeah.
Of all time.
I'll say, yeah, this for me, BC, like, this is more entertaining to me than Rogue One, and probably most movies could be, because so much of Star Wars is kind of these unbelievable heists taking place where I'm just a little immune to storming the castle. However, when you spend 2 hours setting up storming the castle, and then what we get is almost like a James Bond like action sequence. It's very grounded, and it's about the tension, not how many people are being shot or flying around. I love it. I will say I watched The Eye for the first time at like 8 a.m. I fell asleep. I didn't do my typical watch it at midnight EST when it drops. And definitely enjoyed it much more on the second watch. It wasn't that I disliked it the first time. I was just a little bit like, huh. And then I watched it again, and I was like, oh, this is really good. It's really great. I think watching it at 7 a.m. is not ideal for me. That's what I'm saying.
It's when I watched it first, which is fairly par for the course for me. I usually watch them when I wake up, because staying up till 2 is not my bag to watch it on release. The first watch for me was choice. The second one, I was taking notes, so I was like, okay, yeah, I remember all this stuff. It's but it still holds up completely. It's I don't know. It's so hard to. I mean, the storytelling is so good. It's hard for me to break up what these 3 episodes are. It's its own mini movie, right? We've got two mini movies essentially at this point, where the world building, the character building, the story that's being told in the first 2 parts make the third part pay off in a way that is so satisfying, where we are given time with these characters. We are given time in these worlds, in these locations that make everything about the big spectacle of the finale part like just sing. Like, it's so good. It's those moments with Mon Mothma and her husband that no other show is going to take time to do. Like, I was genuinely shocked when I was like, we're seeing just like a weird marital strife.
This isn't going to sell toys.
It sure isn't. I'm not looking forward to the Perrin Black figure when that comes out.
Yeah,
like it's not going to happen. But who cares? Because it's such an emotional moment. It's so human. It's so like connected to like humanity, like actual humanity, which a lot of time is lacking in Star Wars, because it's Star Wars, the property is so like otherworldly space opera, like it's so, how big can we make this? This show is not that, which I love. It's an exciting change of pace to tell these personal stories where we have those moments with Mon Mothma, even when we have the moments with the Imperial officer and his family before the Aldhani ceremony. Like, these things don't exist in Star Wars.
Yeah,
they never really have. And now that I'm like, we're getting them, I'm like, this is what makes the story good. Like, really, and good is a broad term, but it makes us as viewers invested in everything that these characters do. They're what motivates them, what they're trying to do, both on a micro and macro level in the story. And it just, I'm so invested in everything because they take the time to earn that investment from me.
Yeah,
which is shocking.
Yeah, the
almost.
when they take the child hostage, you now have context of like, ah, that's a sick little kid. Like,
Yeah,
and also, I what I'm loving about this show is like, yeah, the rebellion is essentially like a terrorist organization to start, or
yeah,
would be labeled as such by the Empire. We get to see them not being clean around the edges. We get to see them being violent, and like
yeah,
because they have a revolution to fight. And I love that this is becomes about the heroism of people who don't make it, as heroes, which is obviously that's a theme in Rogue One, but there's still like
right.
this grand sense of glory at the end of like, we made it through this big thing. Here, the commander and Terriman, like they don't even know if the mission gets pulled off correctly. They're just dead with no ceremony around it. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's how a lot of people have their sacrifices made. It's like you gotta find the heroism in those people and give them some time to speak. So it's, I don't know. It's nice to not have that. You don't even get an extra camera shot of like, yeah, that guy's down. It's like, no, we don't have time. They've been
I
shot.
I
Keep moving.
I forgot Gorn was dead until I was like, oh yeah, he's shot and there's no bones about it. He's just
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
Terriman shot. He's gone. We don't dwell on it. We're like, we got to move. Like
yeah.
this rebellion is hanging by a thread right now, so we got to get out of here and fly through the eye.
And Andor has to go through so much that Rogue One does feel like a victory, for him at the end. Like we see him as broken in that movie. We're
Yeah.
gonna get to see why. I have a feeling I heard the showrunner say there are like over 200 speaking parts
Yeah.
in this, which is part of the reason why I was like, not many of these people are gonna make it through this. They gotta start getting other characters in to be developed, and
Yeah, we're gonna
probably
need
also
to
show.
we're gonna need to turn over some performers here. Yeah, I want to go back to the idea of scale too. I think you mentioned it before, but what were we talking about when the three TIE fighters come down and how it's so much more menacing than say the opening of episode 3, right? Where it's the biggest space battle as they're making their way to Green
Yeah,
Ship and there's just blasters flying everywhere and you're
I
like,
mean that
how
is
much
one of my
CG
favorite scenes in Star
I
Wars.
no, I love it. I legitimately love it, but it doesn't there's no I mean
There's
it's
no
a
weight to
there's no weight at
it.
all. You're just like floating on the excitement of what you're seeing, which is one version of Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
But this being like there's three TIE fighters coming for you, which is infinitely scarier somehow than flying through the middle of a giant battle where there's literally hundreds of thousands of blaster fires coming at you at any
yeah,
given moment. The TIE fighters don't have they just have to get in the ship, and I'm like, that's pretty scary.
yeah, yeah. I
Like, they don't
love
have to fire anything, they just have to get in their ship and start turning the engines on, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's terrifying."
I loved getting to see, our TIE fighter pilots suiting up. I felt like the production budget wasn't quite there for the cockpit shots the way it has been in other parts of the show. It doesn't look as dense somehow. Like the camera angles are just like a little too wide or something.
Mm,
But whatever. I love getting fighter pilots, and I don't think we've ever seen them in live action run across the rail and drop down
mm-mm.
into the cockpit before. I could be wrong. But yeah, love that. Super cool. And the use of the TIE fighters through the whole thing is like, oh yeah.
I mean,
One of those is scary.
the first time they fly through the sky when they're just making their journey to camp, like, you just hear it, and then it legitimately sounds like something is ripping through the sky above, and it's menacing. Like, the sound of them is menacing. And it's the same sound that you always hear, but it's the context in which it's delivered, where it's like if you're two people out walking in an open field and you hear that sound overhead, you're kind of like, okay, well, this could be the end.
Yeah.
Death above, like you just never know. So the way they use that particular device twice
Yeah.
as sort of like just flying overhead as like a kind of like a routine patrol is what it seems like. But the way that it affects our characters on the ground is like, yeah, that's pretty effective as a device of terror.
Yeah. Yeah. Small scale terror is better. And again, they're actually hiding from laser bolts. Gotta give it to the action direction for that. Like, it seems like they could die. As you mentioned, I do not like the blaster sounds in that shootout. I don't know why they don't have impact, and when they repeat, like, there's a shot of Nimic like laying down, shooting the blaster over and over. And it's like the exact same sound, even though the gun is changing position a little bit. And it's I wouldn't compare it to a Rogue One clip of that first battle on Jeddah, and it's like, no, it's way there's these blasters have way more punch. So I'm not sure what that was about. And I was also disappointed that they've been rocking AKs with banana clips for the whole like episode. It's like, I'm sure when they were shooting that, those were going to be projectile weapons. And it might have been something that Disney was like, no, they got to be lasers.
Can't do
if
that.
they're killing people. We can't have, because it makes no sense for a power cell to be shaped like a banana clip. Like, and there are projectile weapons in Star Wars, and it would have been fun and impactful to see, the poor rebels using like projectile weapons with kick against, laser rifles. But minor complaint. It's just one of the only things in this show so far I've been like, I have a note.
I've got notes.
Yeah,
I didn't really. I think the only real note that is out of my own ignorance. Whenever they were talking about the quarterly payroll, for some reason I assumed that was information.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was going to be like, look, we found out that these senators are getting
We've got
payouts.
all these people on this list. Turns out it's just a big old pile of gold.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, because it makes sense going back because they do a shot of the vault where you see those rows and rows of the credits where it's kind of like, is that where data is stored? Like I've never seen that thing in Star
I
Wars
hadn't
before.
either. At that, when I saw those, I started to assume it was money. But up to that point, I had, like you, had been like, oh, that we're gonna find out everybody who's getting paid by the Empire.
Yeah, it's like we're taking, because I was like, that would be, because I was of two minds, and it makes sense now that it's money, but I was of the mind originally. I was like, oh yeah, that would be really important for the rebels if they had the intel, the information on who the Empire is paying off, where the money is being moved around to within this sector.
I thought
as
that was going
opposed
to
to
be
like,
a big Mon Mothma payout. Is, look at
yeah,
this, the Empire has been paying these, like, at these movements they're, that they say they're fighting against. They've been paying for these like insurgencies and your towns, and like basically just the classic real world government.
right, yeah. But I mean, it makes sense whenever you go back to like Mon Mothma. I can't move money around anymore. So it's like, okay, well, we're just going to go stash 80 million and see what we can do with 80 million US dollars.
Yeah.
In the Star Wars universe. Again, a pretty close conversion rate as we understand
we're
it.
assuming, yeah. I did love that not all of the money made it in. I like how haphazard everything was at the end there. Again, it just felt like a real and visceral heist where things weren't going perfectly.
I mean, the rewatch for me made the heist aspect of it even better. Like the action direction, the tension that's being ratcheted up the entire time. Like I don't know, the pacing of the editing in terms of, I mean, yeah, we cut back to the Aldanis a bunch, but what we're cutting in between in all the different locations is just, you get the sense that this is chaotic. It's visceral. It needs to happen. Like, it's boom, boom, boom. The fact that we don't linger on deaths is like, we gotta keep moving. We have to keep going because the way that it, and it's again, I think it's great writing and direction and storytelling, but the way that these Imperials start to figure out what's going on, the way that they're engaging makes sense. That they're not immediately like, hey, there's only like 6 of them. Why don't we do something? These aren't the most like, hey, we're combat ready. Like, you see the one Imperial guard who's just like sitting down until the door opens, and then he pops.
Yeah.
Like, this is who they are. Like, they're betting, they're gambling. Like, they're on an outpost where they don't do anything. So when someone comes in with a blaster pointed in their face, they're like, okay, yeah, fine, we'll do it. Okay, great. As they start to catch on, it's like, okay, you see them start to fight back. But the fact that it takes a little while for them to be like, hey, there's a lot more of us than there are of you, makes sense in terms of the pacing and the storytelling. And the payoff is is as those two sort of forces are colliding at the very end, all ramping up to we got to get out of here. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, we're sort of dragging along, figuring out what's going on with the comms. Oh, okay, we've got guns too. We should probably do something about this. By that time, they're gone. You know what I mean? It. I just loved the entire way that was shot and paced. I mean, it is legitimately one of the best action sequences I think that exists in Star Wars in terms of how that is told. I mean, compare that, not to dunk too much on Book of Boba Fett, but compare that to the big battle in Book
Oh
of Boba
yeah,
Fett, which is like almost incompetent
yeah.
in terms of how that action sequence is shot at, when they're in town and, the Rancor's coming in
I'm
and
gonna go get a high angle.
I'll
Okay.
be back in like 20 or 30.
I'm
He's like, what is happening?
gonna run out
It
in the open to like a
it just
ground.
it makes no it's I would love to. Okay, well, what happened? What went well, and what could have gone better for you?
Yeah,
Because you watch this one because this is how this should be done.
yeah,
I mean, to me, this again, it's all relative to who you are and how you enjoy things. But
of
I
course.
think for Star Wars boys like us, this is like I'm in hog heaven
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
this. I'm just like, this is amazing.
yeah.
The
It's
the beats, the storytelling, all of it is just it's everything I want it to be.
it's truly delightful to be like, oh, this is better than I thought I would ever get out of Star Wars again. This is
Yeah.
like as good as I can hope for. Minor complaints aside. Um, and I do like the ending though. Like I said, I think that Skeen, I would have waited for a little more confirmation that he wasn't just pulling my leg or trying to figure out my loyalty or whatever before. But
Blasting him to death.
I don't know. I like our decisive hero. And what do you think is happening next, VC? What's going to happen with Vel and her lover, who's still planet side, dressed as an
Man.
officer? Is
Yeah.
Andor going to now go back to his home and find it ravaged by the Imperials? Is he going to see his mom die? And that's going to then turn him into the revolution. That, along with reading the manifesto, turn him into whatever he is to become.
Wild speculation. Let's get into some of that.
Yeah,
Well, so here's what we do know. This was sort of confirmed by Tony Gilroy in a recent podcast that he did. That so thus endeth the second arc of 3 episodes that we just watched. The next episode is apparently sort of a standalone ish episode,
love it.
and then we're going to go into another 3 episode arc and then a 2 episode finale. So, I mean, one, I can't say how excited I am about all of this. I'm just
Yeah.
genuinely every week I'm like, give me to the Endor. But I don't get the sense that he's going to return to Ferrix, especially now that it's fully occupied by the Empire. I would love to see it, and I hope we do still get more like glimpses and insights into what's going on, because I think part of what this show can do is speak to the aftermath of these rebel activities. We saw some of that. Okay, well, what's the fallout from Cassian did on Ferrix?
Yeah.
All right, that was now the Empire is in the entire sector. They've taken over security. What's the fallout going to be now that like there's rumblings in the Senate that Aldani was, heisted by a rebel group? Like you see the major machinations of the ISB engaging. Whereas like originally it was like, okay, there's an isolated incident on Ferrix. You go do this. There's, going to be a minor dispute about who has any sort of jurisdiction on Ferrix. Now it's like, hey, everyone in the room, we're going to focus on what just happened on Aldani. So what does that mean for Aldani if what happened on Ferrix was Imperial control? Like, what's the fallout going to be there? You're right. Cinta is we get sort of the shot of her being very much like, okay, well, here I am in this. I don't know if we go back and revisit it. I would love to, but I feel like there's a forward momentum that's like, yes, there's going to be fallout, but we're moving forward with the story. I don't think we're done with Vel for
Yeah.
some reason because of her connection with Luthen. Um, but in terms of where it's going, I don't really have any like major speculation other than I'm excited. I hope that it has more to do with the the local ramifications of the incidents. I love that we got that. I mean, it's a minor moment where to Ferrex and he's talking to something Blevins from the ISB, and he's talking to like the local guy, and he's like, "Can I be a
Yeah.
prefect?
Yeah.
I know it doesn't come with a pay raise, but can I be a prefect?" And he's like, "Well, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like the fact that they're moving in, they're taking over, clearing out a building to be their headquarters. It's no longer a hotel; it's Imperial headquarters. Like it means something because I'm still thinking of Brasso
Yeah.
from our first 3 episodes. I'm like, that guy's got to live with a bunch more shit going on his planet because of something that happened.
Yeah.
Like now that entire planet is on lockdown. So
That's a.
it's
I still.
that sort of fallout is exciting to see.
I would prefer not to go back to Ferrex, but I do think that Brasso and Andor's previous lover, and I think people have to die for him to be motivated to stick it in the Imperial's eye.
Oh,
I would prefer
big.
to be wrong, but
How much of Nimic's manifest, or do you think we're going to
gonna
continue to
get
get?
red.
Because yeah,
That's a
did you
good
think casting
question.
just to me like I'm going to put it on the nightstand? I'll get to it. Like we've all got that book. You're like, I'm going to read that.
Yeah,
I'm going to get to it eventually.
yeah. I
I'm
don't
gonna
know,
like blow the
man.
dust off the cover. It's been sitting there for a while. It's got a coffee ring on it because I set a book on it. I
There's
set
gonna
a
be
coffee cup on it.
a great super deluxe edition of that at Barnes and Noble eventually for us to read for ourselves.
I love it.
uh,
A quick excerpt from Nimic's manifesto, if you don't mind. The pace of oppression outstrips our ability to understand it, and that is the real trick of the imperial thought machine. It's easier to hide behind 40 atrocities than a single incident.
yep, sounds relevant.
like I love that this voice exists in Star
Yeah,
Wars.
yeah. I didn't
It
think I would
is
get it, especially in Disney era.
never never thought I would get it. I mean, he might as well have been crushed by a thousand Mickey Mouse hats in the back of that in the back of that freighter. You know what I mean? But it's like, but Imperial credits is a fine substitution. But the fact, like, I don't know. I think that when Vel says everyone has their own rebellion, that rings so true that you have this literally a diverse group of people who have their own fighting interests. We learn that Cinta's her entire family was killed by stormtroopers. Lieutenant Gorn is betraying the Empire because they essentially tore him away from his native Aldani love, denied him promotion, and stuck him on this planet, or made him stay on this planet. Um, Cassian obviously has his own gripes with the Empire, but everyone has their own internal struggle that they are dealing with. And that is in its way its own lens to view their fight against the Empire. It's complex. There is depth and complexity and density in this storytelling, but it's not at the sake of making it like confusing.
Yeah,
It's just
it's not
there's
exposition
no,
central.
it's character motivated as opposed to like plot density, which is
Yeah,
like I don't know. There's things like I mean I don't know. I would like Lord of the Rings, the books, which I love, are fantastic. They are dense,
mhm.
right? Like you are just there's so much lore and story and history that goes into all of that, and that feels very much like story plot density. And there's character depth to be sure, but this as a TV show, you can get that complexity with just simple character moments, simple performance. Luthen doing the hand wave, I can't get over it. Like how much that tells
Yeah,
about that character just with a performance beat, right? Like it's just a transformation of this is what I have to do to engage in my version of the rebellion, to be a financier, to be a major player in the game. I've got to put on this facade, and I have to, like, literally he has to work himself in, like, physically manifest that version of himself to continue his part of the fight. Everyone has specific and individual things, which again makes the story complex, but not in a bad way. It makes it so much, it's like a rich tapestry that is so rewarding when we see these characters start to interact with each other. When Tony Gilroy talks about having like 200 speaking parts, they're not just like throwaway, like, oh, we just need someone to do this. They're thought out characters that have moments that are written for them that make everything they do on screen so engaging.
Yeah, I mean, we learn more about some of these one-line characters, with their one line and situation than we do about Finn and all of the sequels.
Yes,
It's just
I mean,
like,
you feel like, I mean, I don't know. There's we could talk about some of the characters that are in the movies that we just don't really know, and I would compare it to like, oh, what's a good? I mean, Karn himself is whatever his. We're gonna keep going with him, and it seems like he's gonna be re-engaging
yeah,
with the Empire pretty strong here in a moment. But his character is more fleshed out than like Kylo Ren. Like where
yeah.
it's like Kylo Ren was I had an uncle go bad, and it's like I still don't really understand most of his motivation, other than like, yes, as an exposition, yes, he was good, he has gone bad. Karn, you are given like moments of story where you learn about like the disappointment of his mother, like the fact that she never thought that he would amount to something, the fact that he tried to take on something that he was incapable of doing and completely ruined an entire sector of the galaxy for people. It's like that's a villain origin story right there.
Yeah.
And it's not, it doesn't have to go out of its way to be expositiony. It's so character driven. I mean, it's just so well written. I think that's the heart of what this is that it's so well written.
Well written and well performed,
Yeah.
for sure. I think a lot of this
Everything's
would
just in
fall
harmony.
flat. Yeah, if it weren't, if the crappy husband wasn't so great at playing a crappy husband,
Oh,
it would fall a little flat. But
like I
instead, it's
hate that
like,
guy because
wow.
he's so good at being hateable.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like he's
It's
like that. It's such a yeah. I don't know. We can just sit here and talk about how good it is, but it's like the the way the writing, the characters, the scenery, everything, the synthesis of all of those elements, with minor gripes here or there, which are don't even compare to the amount of stuff that we love about it.
yeah,
The way that those things all come together is how any good production should be done, Star Wars or otherwise, right? Like this is what filmmaking is at its best, when it's like, hey, we've got all departments on board, we've got directors with a vision, we've got actors who are buying in to the vision, who are selling the costumes, who are working the scenery, who are bought into every element of the story and performing the hell out of it. And it's shot beautifully
man,
because we've got great cinematography, we
that
found
comms
beautiful
room,
architecture.
the comms room on the dam with just like a million lights in there. I was like, that would have been so cool to work in
Like
there.
that's a set. Like these
Yeah,
are like the way that I don't know. We're volumed out, I think, in terms of what we've seen. So another
yeah,
part of this is like they found physical locations. They're able to integrate in a real way the Star Wars of it. The I forget what it's like. It's some the airport that Karn arrives in. It's like a I mean, it's obviously a real building. They've added a couple, you know, the arrival and departure, whatever, is CGI'd in, but
yeah.
like the curvature of the lines, everything about that space is like it's a building. It's like an institute of technology or something in England, where they're like, yeah, we just found this location. We put some Star Wars and CGI up there, and you're like, I totally buy this as a location.
Yeah. Yeah, much more than I would a slightly more Star Warsian looking thing that was built in CG and projected on the background. Like,
Yes. I mean, the fact that it's tactile, like when they're in the water, there's the rusted ladder on the dam that they're going to be.
yeah.
Yeah, that's real, because it's a real dam. And the set designer was like, "Yeah, we found this location in Scotland. It basically worked perfectly because the facade of it almost looks like Darth Vader's mask too."
Yeah.
And you're
And oh
like,
man, they got I don't know if they built it or like built onto what was already there, but they've got that little like sentry post in the front with like the giant gun on top.
"Yeah,
It looks so good. It looks awesome.
that looks good." The apartment, it like whatever that world is, it's like urban housing. It seems like, but I mean, Karn's walk through that. I mean, it's just it's a long forced perspective shot where you just get the depth of that brutalist architecture going all the way down, like with the weird geometry and the gray,
The
just like
1970s light fixtures.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, again, that speaks to character as much as anything else that's in the show. Like this is his life. This is the hallway he walked down to be greeted by a mother who's going to slap him in the face. That gives you like, I don't know, 40 pages worth of character history in just a couple of shots. You're like, all
Yeah.
right, that's how you do that. I mean, that's storytelling. That's storytelling at its finest. Using all of those things brilliantly. I don't know anything else that's really doing that at this level right now.
That's awesome to hear because I only watch Star Wars. So
See, I wanted to bring this up too because we're in like this golden nerd age right now where we're getting Cassian Andor.
uh-huh.
There's also House of the Dragon, which is the Game of Thrones prequel, which
Right,
I'm a
right.
fan of. There's the Rings of Power, which is the Lord of the Rings thing. I'm watching all three of these, right? And I was like, in terms of where I'm at with them, Lord of the Rings, I got to the point where I was like, I'm watching it. I'm not like super excited about it. It's fun and it's pretty, but I'm not like, give me that next episode. Like I
Yeah,
watched it
yeah.
this morning and was like, House of the Dragon, I love watching on a weekly basis. It gives me something to look forward to. It airs on Sundays. Like it's the end of the week. There's going to be another one of these fun shows. Matt Smith is amazing in it. And then there's Andor, which is like the thing that I most look forward to. I was like, I love the anticipation that I have for House of the Dragon. I really enjoy the show. Andor, I have the same sort of feeling for. I was like, what's like a comparison of how I feel about them? And I was like, okay, I would say House of the Dragon is like the early pop Beatles, right?
Right.
Where it's good, it's well structured, but the depth of it is not like as as deep as say later Beatles. Let's go like White Album for Cassian Andor, where
Yeah.
the structure's
Yeah,
there,
this
but
is
there's
some
also like,
60s Beatles for sure.
but we're also engaging in some ideas that are uh, challenging and engaging and complex, as opposed to like, I want to hold your hand. This is Glass Onion. You know what I mean? Like you get a definite sense of they're both good, but for very different reasons. So I enjoy both of them. But Andor has given me. I mean, I'm a White Album guy, as
Yeah,
opposed,
yeah.
Please Please Me or whatever. So this is what
And
I
look,
mean. This is
I love the early Beatles, love the later Beatles, but the later Beatles blows the
a lot
early
better.
Beatles, yeah,
Yeah,
right out of
they
the
blow 'em
water.
away. Like it's not even close. Like they had more better. Um, I did want. We didn't really talk about this. What were your thoughts on the eye itself?
Oh, it was cool. I don't know. That was just all that CG heavy stuff. Like I liked it. I liked the introduction of it, right? With like
Yeah,
one or two slowly building up. I thought it got the job done. But the CGI climax at the end was definitely like a low point in the show for me. At that point, all the tension was kind of gone for me. I knew they were gonna get out because
right
Andor was on the
on the ship.
on the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah,
And again, like the piloting, I just don't really
yeah.
buy it. Especially because it was this big blown out, like the color palette was too strong. So like I didn't love it, but I don't care. I guess is my answer. Like I thought it was a fine plot device.
I liked it in the super wide establishing.
Oh
What I mean?
yeah.
Where you see like it over the sky. I thought once
It
they
looked
got
dope.
into it, it was like, it's the climax, it's the thrilling like conclusion of the escape, which was fine. But to me, it was like I was more enthralled by. I liked it more seeing it from the Aldani's perspective as opposed to flying through and fighting perspective, where
Yeah.
you get their version of what that is, which is the sacred moment that they're having, and then you cut to the midst of like, this is our escape route. We're using this to get out of here. I thought there were. I liked the wide angle of it. I thought it looked really
Yeah, it
cool.
looked cool. It's a good concept for their escape.
And brilliant, like brilliant that they're like, I don't know if it's brilliant, but they're laying the tracks for from the beginning of the eye. It's a thing to behold. The eye, it's
Yeah.
going to be important. We're using that to escape, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's the eye. It's a good escape device. Well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, they fucking took those ties right out, baby.
Yeah, with their inferior navigator they've got.
What's your favorite new location or vehicle there, BC?
Ooh, man. To me, I'm gonna go. I'll do a twofer. Favorite location: Mon Mothma's interior
Yeah, same.
and her blue transport. Um, I mean the set design on her house is immaculate. Like a lot of that looked practical. I'm sure there's a fair involved, but like some of the actual interior architecture is beautiful, and the way that there's living trees that are worked into like the interior of her house. I was like, that seems like a pretty chill domicile until you realize that like she's in the midst of this terrible marriage and she's always fighting with her daughter. So it's like it speaks to character, right? It speaks to Mon Mothma. Outside, I've got to look pristine. I've got to keep up this facade. The interior of my home is incredibly beautiful. Inside, I am raging against a storm that is like almost unstoppable, but
And
I have
also
to keep
nobody
the picture.
cares. And
Yeah,
nobody
there's
cares
no
with
one.
me. I'm surrounded by wealthy people and politicians who would rather, choke off a group of poor people than, ruffle
Yeah, cut
ruffle
cut off their
their
shipping
beautiful
lanes
lives.
to
Yeah.
starve people. Yeah, and she's got to be that pristine imagery. But what's inside is uh, a tempest.
It's
Like
the
is a
To
a
quote
legitimate.
Weezer, it's a bubblehin.
It is a bubbling. It's bubbling indeed. So yeah, to me, I don't know. When I saw that set, I was like, "Whoa!" And then I saw what they did inside of the set. It just subverted everything that I like. Oh, this is so nice. And then you get the scene where she's has this like passive aggressive, tension filled argument with her husband, where he literally ends the scene with, "Must everything be boring and sad?" And I was just floored by that. I was like, what just happened? It's so good.
Yeah, we can't wait to see more of Mon Mothma. I'm sure we will.
What
And who
about you?
knows? Maybe we'll get a
From
Mon Mothma show.
Yeah. What about
Um,
you? Location or
I mean,
vehicle?
probably location is just Luthen's little changing room.
Yeah, it's so good. It's
uh,
so good.
I really like that apartment. Coruscant Arn's apartment,
Yes.
real
I
good.
mean, it's so hard. Like everything is good about like you. It's like, oh yeah, I like my mom. Then you're like, but also Karn's was good too. Also the shit. Like, there's no bad locations. There's no bad sets. Whereas like I felt like every episode with Kenobi, we're like, well, another great episode for the volume
Yeah.
with a flat ground and some projected backgrounds. Different color dirt this week. That's
Yep.
exciting.
Very the same exact granular powder of dirt though, just a different color. It's always
It
the same
really, it
dirt.
really was shocking quality when you compare. But who knows what they were dealing with? Again, there were COVID-y things that I'm sure were
Yeah.
happening.
I'd love to see the exact same story told in the exact same way with this production style.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that would make a difference. But yeah, BC, we're big fans. We've been through now 6 episodes of the show. We got 6 left before we have to take a break before the
We're,
next season.
we're halfway there.
But yeah, should we talk about the standalone episode next week?
I think probably we should. We can watch it and see if it's if it is a true like. Oh yeah, we can just do a quick hit on the old standalone. And then I have my copy of From a Certain Point of View coming.
Oh, nice.
I think that's actually coming today. So we've got the what is it? Your
Short
kind
story.
aren't welcome here.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Gonna maybe not put that in the podcast title.
No, we'll From a Certain Point of View short.
Yeah.
Be fine. Would be perfectly acceptable. Lest people think that we're something else. So yeah, I think that'd probably be good as a double coverage. I wanted to dust off a golden oldie. I want to give out a Ewan McGregor award.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to give my personal Ewan McGregor award. I'm gonna go with Alex Lothar as Nimmick. Shout out Nimmick for existing in the Star Wars universe, portray the character and doing it well.
What a cool way to get cast in a Star Wars. No one's gonna play that role again, probably, unless it's like a cartoon or something. You got your full arc in. You got to shoot a stormtrooper. You got to, you got to be the mouthpiece of the revolution. And yeah, no one's gonna steal it from you. Signed, sealed, delivered. You're out of Star Wars. You got into the best of it, and you got out of there. That's the way, BC. Congratulations. I think he'll be a fan favorite for years to come.
I think so. And I also think that manifesto is not just going to collect dust on the shelf. I think it will have perhaps a not insignificant role in forward.
Yeah, I'm imagining a lot of people getting like Nimmick inspired tattoos that say like short little cheesy phrases, and so I think that will be coming. But yeah, I think that's a good choice, BC. I can't even remember the character's name, but our inside man really liked
Lieutenant Gorn.
Yeah, and I like Vel too as a not all the way there hero. I like I like seeing her struggle. But yeah, I'll give it to Gorn, just because I think that's a difficult role to pull off. And I liked watching it.
His moment. I was just sorry for cutting you off. I was just gonna say his moment when J-Hold realizes that he's responsible is so good. Where he's like, "You'll hang for this." He's like, "I deserve worse," or "I deserve worse for working under you." This whatever the line, like his, I don't know, his that line delivery. You're just like, yeah, he's in it. But again, you feel the weight of, we don't know. All we know is that he lost a native woman, but his performance sells you on the fact like, I'm ready to die for this.
Yep.
Because I've seen and done terrible things in the name of this empire. So let's go.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, I believe this guy 100% sold. 100% sold. They're awesome. Love them.
Well done to all the actors. Good job. Congrats.
I want the Topps hobby Andor release. So I like, this is an autograph set. I'd be like, I'm putting together the entire Andor autograph set. Give me those rebels. Give me this
cool
is
as hell. The mother sick autograph.
Oh my god, the mother Chief Inspector.
Yep.
Would be very high on my list.
Yeah, I would.
Any of our band of rebels, obviously very high on the list. Yeah, just amazing job all around.
Well, BC, speaking of top Star Wars cards, you want to record a little hobby talk here in a second before I gotta skedaddle on to work?
We can do a little hobby talk.
We got a little hobby to talk about.
I love it.
So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. If you're out there, appreciate it. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch the edited podcast up on our podcast feed, wherever, and you can catch Hobby Talk on YouTube. But until next time.